Tell me what's worse than learning all that you led to believe was all horse crap. They distort.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. We're going to do an NXT review for May 25th, 2021. And this was a very fun show. There's a lot to discuss, so let's get right into it. So, match 1, Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez lose to Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon. This match was pretty solid. It was just okay. Ember Moon ended up pinning Dakota Kai, which makes sense. And then Raquel Gonzalez decided to wreck Shotzi Blackheart. So now we know who the next contender for the title is. It's going to be Shotzi Blackheart. Okay, fair enough. Even though Ember Moon is the one who got the pin. Okay. But Shotzi and Raquel should be fun. Shotzi loves taking bumps. Raquel can do the power moves that she wants to do, throw Shotzi around. So that ought to be a pretty interesting situation. It ought to be like, like I hate to say like a Jeff Hardy, but that kind of person who's willing to put their bodies on the line, willing to take those risks to go out there and do it. I'm 100% on top of that. You know what I mean? Anyway, Tommaso, Champa, and Timothy Thatcher, they cut a promo basically saying that they challenged MSK, and for some reason Grizzly Young Veterans answered the call. And that, Grizzly Young Veterans won round 1, they run round 2, and there will be a round 3. Then they said that they're going to enjoy breaking the limbs of the Grizzly Young Veterans. This led the Grizzly Young Veterans to respond later in the show, saying that it was nothing personal. It was just a receipt for what they had done to them. And that they were coming for the NXT tag team titles, and that they are done with Champa and Thatcher. And says that they're the leaders that the division needs. Look, I'm okay with this. I just want to know what kind of match are they going to have. It's going to be like 2 out of 3 falls or something like that. They could do an Iron Team match. Now, that would be interesting, like a 30-minute Iron Team match. That would be wild. I don't know if I can handle that one, dog. But it would actually be interesting. When was the last time have they ever done an Iron Tag Team match? Well, yeah, they did, because they did the Hardys and the Bar. They did it, right? Yeah. They'll be interested in them doing it again. That's a good main event for TV, actually. So, the second match, Pete Dunne versus Bobby Fish. Pretty good match. I was actually surprised Bobby Fish lost. I was very surprised. There were some pretty strong strikes from both guys. At one point, Dunne was bleeding. They went to commercial, and when he came back, the blood was gone. So, there you go. There you go with that. There was an overhead suplex by Bobby Fish into this match where Pete Dunne's head was jammed into the mat. It was pretty crazy. And Pete Dunne wins with the bitter end. After the match, Oney Lorcan beat the hell out of Bobby Fish and stretched his injured arm across the ring apron. Nobody came to make the save. I mean, you would have thought that Kyle O'Reilly would have showed up. But nope. Maybe that's going to be the storyline going forward, that he came out and helped Kyle O'Reilly, but Kyle didn't come and help him. That ought to be an interesting angle to run. But I'm guessing they're going to do Bobby Fish versus Oney Lorcan first. But having Bobby Fish lose to Oney Lorcan was kind of weird. I mean, not Oney Lorcan, lose to Pete Dunne. Pretty damn weird, dog. Pretty damn weird. So Mercedes Martinez had a backstage promo where she said that, she might not have won the NXT Women's title, but, tonight is night 1 and getting back to that goal. And for some reason, Boa was peeking around her. It was kind of standing in the doorway, just looking at her with them shades on. I was like, oh boy. So the third match, Mercedes Martinez versus Zeta Ramire. Zeta Ramire is pretty good. I think I've said it before. I've talked about how good AQA is. She's very smooth. She also works pretty fast, and I think that's probably what Mercedes Martinez is in there to teach her to slow down, because she was definitely trying to get her shit in. Anyway, Mercedes wins, obviously. Right choice. Zeta Ramire is not ready for the push yet. And then after the match, the lights go out, and Tian Sha, their symbol, appears on the Tron. And then when the lights come back on, Mercedes Martinez has been marked. She got marked. Oh Lord, it's like what was that movie with Dick and Jane where he was like, I'm getting indicted. That's kind of how I was like Like, she been marked. She been marked. Marked, I said marked. Considering Xia Li's been in the closet for a month. I'm interested in this because, of course, I'm a big supporter of Tian Sha and Xia Li. I've hated that they haven't had anything to do with them, but now that they do, Mercedes Martinez is a bigger opponent than Xia Li, stronger, more experienced. So she ought to get something out of actually working with Mercedes Martinez. So this is a good thing. I'm 100% in on this and to see where it goes. So Hit Row did a rap promo. I guess that's what they're doing now. They're doing like rap promos where they're doing like the locks, the in and outs, where one of them say a line, the other one finish it or something like that. We'll try to make this make sense. Anyway, B-Fab, I wish they would change her name, says that every week they put NXT on notice, and now it's time to go gold. And so now they start talking about the champions. And Swerve says that he can't wait to cross out Karrion or Finn off the list. Of course, you get it. Kross, Karrion, or Finn. Kross, Karrion, Kross. I get it. Okay. I watched battle raps too, my dude. Top Dollar says that he's gonna that MSK or Legado del Fantasma, whoever it is, he's gonna put L's on their head like they're Mario's brother, like Luigi. Mario, it's me, Luigi. When Luigi got that goddamn game, I didn't know what to think, because Luigi as a main character is very interesting. It was a definite departure from the Mario franchise. You got to play as Luigi, because he's never really been all that different from Mario. And I know it's a lot of people say like, "Oh, he's so different from Mario. He moves different," and it's like it wasn't until they actually put some effort into making Luigi different that I actually noticed that he was any different. They have the same effects to the same stuff. It's pretty much Mario. I don't know. How did I get on the subject of Luigi? Oh, because he mentioned them. Okay. And then Ashanti the Adonis said that he's going to smack the Time Splitter Back to the Future. And I was like, okay, I get it. They're doing battle rap stuff. Look, I still like Hit Row. I still like him. Now, this was my favorite part of the show. The $1 Million Face-Off. This was fun. So Ted DiBiase's sitting back there with our cherry lip pod goddess, and I don't know, spreading the good word. She seemed pretty happy. Maybe she heard the cash register. Cha-ching. Cha-ching. And then Ted DiBiase tossed the unwashed masses, which is Robert Stone and his clique of loser chicks, tossed them some cash. And then Grimes came out. And then Ted DiBiase came out, and Grimes asked Ted DiBiase why is he doing this to him. He says, like, look, I wasn't always rich, but I got money now, Ted, and I looked up to you. I learned that I could make people do whatever I want them to do. I could treat people like crap, and they would still like me because I got money. And you think that Ted was gonna go babyface and turn all this around and say, no, you don't treat people like crap. He just says that I see myself in you, Grimes. He says, I'm here to spread the $1 Million legacy. But it's the $1 Million legacy is all about performance. And since you become rich, you've become unfocused. Which I love that setup right there. Because it's true. Grimes used to be a work rate guy. He still kind of is. But since he hit the lotto or whatever it is, Bitcoin money, he has been more of a promo guy, been more of a vignette guy, and he still won most of the matches he's been in, but he has also been distracted by him trying to make a fool out of people, which I really enjoyed. I like this because it was DiBiase's the babyface in this situation, but he's not playing it out like a babyface, and then LA Knight comes out, which was another interesting wrinkle. So LA Knight comes out and says that, you guys are talking about $1 Million face-off and this is a $1 Million opportunity. Yeah. Says that the search is over and that he's walking, talking gold. Yeah. Then Grimes called him nickel and dime. Told him that this is a meeting between millionaires You get out of here, you're nickel and dime. In which the crowd chanted nickel and dime, nickel and dime. In which LA Knight called them incels. And then says he's not a millionaire yet, but him and Ted can put it together. Then DiBiase says, like, look, he says that he's close. He's close. And he says, DiBiase tells him he's got $1 million body. He's got $1 million mindset. And then Cameron Grimes actually gets jealous. He's like, wait, we hear about his Kavorka, his $1 million body, his $1 million mindset. But he needs to get the hell out of here before I kick his ass. So, because he said he was going to kick LA Knight's ass, LA Knight jumped him from behind and beat the hell out of him. Left him laying, and Ted DiBiase and LA Knight walked off. They didn't necessarily walk off together, but they walked off. Now, this is very good. Now, would I have preferred if it was a younger guy than LA Knight who is fucking 42 or some shit like that? Yes. I would have preferred for it to be like a young guy. But it also makes sense for it not to be a young guy, because it's somebody who is legitimately already good. It's legitimately already a talker, and somebody who can stand toe to toe with Cameron Grimes in promos and character and still work. So this is like a legit feud. And Ted DiBiase is a guy who never should have been a babyface anyway. He should never really be positioned as a babyface. There's just something about the $1 Million Man character as a villain that he cannot be a babyface. So him saying that he's basically looking to spread the $1 Million legacy. He's looking for the next person who can carry the crown of being the $1 Million, I'm guessing the $1 Million champion, which is the good thing. I was hoping he was going to announce like a $1 Million champions tournament or something like that. That would have been so much fun. But it seemed like this is going to be the setup for In Your House, that maybe it's going to be LA Knight versus Cameron Grimes. And if the winner will maybe get the $1 Million championship, now that would be fun. I don't want the $1 Million title to be like a normal belt, though. I want it to be like the I want to say like the FTW championship, where it's very, very unofficial. Because you get more heat with the $1 Million title when it's unofficial. Right? Then you get you get the idea that the guy has stolen valor. I did a video about this a long time ago, about the concept of stolen valor, where a guy's pretending to be a champion, but he's not. He's just faking that he's a champion. That gets more heat than if you are an actual champion. Being a champion, talk about being a champion, that gets you some heat, but it's not going to get you as much. Being a guy who is not a champion, legitimately not a champion, but, you got a belt that you made yourself or that somebody gave you, and you're defending it like, look, I am a champion. You're going to fool some people into thinking that you're a champion. So the commentary, you're going to have to continuously say, look, he's not a champion. It's not recognized by NXT, yada, yada, yada. That gives people something more to talk about. It gives you something more to talk about. And you can still put it on the line, because in wrestling, you can bet anything. You can bet your hair. You can bet your mask. You can bet your career. You can bet this belt. It's your property. You can bet it if you want, but NXT doesn't have any control over it. So it's not like William Regal can force you to put it on the line. It's yours. So I really do want them to bring the $1 Million championship in, and then maybe do give it to LA Knight and have Cameron Grimes chase it. And then at the end of the whole feud, then Cameron Grimes wins the $1 Million championship. It's unofficial, but he's got it. He's got the actual belt. And, he's considered he's gotten the $1 Million legacy or whatever. And then he starts going broke, because I think that'd be like the height. Like, I don't think you could do anything with the character after he gets the $1 Million belt. What do you do with the character after that? You have to begin his decline. And then maybe he has to sell the $1 Million title to keep his car or something, keep his house or something like that. And he has to sell it back to Ted DiBiase. That's how I would write it. I would write it, like 3 or 4 months of, Cameron Grimes chasing. I wouldn't have him wrestling every week either. Just 3 or 4 months of vignettes and different things that between him and LA Knight. And then around, WrestleMania, around SummerSlam, you would have the big match for the $1 Million title. Cameron Grimes wins the belt. then you will start having Cameron Grimes have money problems. You know, he's shelling out money for this. Maybe he gets sued by another wrestler on the roster. You know, he hits a guy with his car or something, and the guy's faking. You know, it could be anybody, because there's a bunch of people in NXT who aren't doing anything. What the hell happened to Tyler Rust? You know, where the hell did he go? Did he die? A female wrestler or something, where, you know, Cameron Grimes hits them with his new Bugatti or whatever, and they just start milking, like the lawyers are draining his finances. And then at the end of maybe 2 or 3 months, another 2 or 3 months, Cameron Grimes is broke. You know, this wrestler has broke Cameron Grimes by filing this incredible lawsuit against him and took all his money. And then, of course, all the lawyers get it all, so the wrestler doesn't then turn around and become rich. But the lawyers eat all the money up. And so now Cameron Grimes is broke, and he has to sell his $1 million championship. And he really doesn't want to. And he has to sell it back to Ted DiBiase in order to survive and to keep his house and keep his cars and all that kind of stuff. So that would be a fun arc right there. You know, that would be great. But I'm almost certain they're not going to put that kind of thought into it. It's probably going to be, the $1 million championship is another NXT title. And that's a big mistake. That's a waste of energy. That's a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. And nobody's going to believe it. The title needs to be not recognized. It needs to be not recognized. You know, so I still think the idea is going to be great, though. I mean, Cameron Grimes pretty much turned babyface here, considering he was talking about his rough upcomings, his rough upbringing, and pretty much the only person he ever knew with money was Ted DiBiase. You know, because he was a wrestling fan. You know, it would have been nice for him to put that into the character, for him to say, look, when I was a young boy in whatever, in North Carolina, the only rich person I ever saw was you. So when I got money, I thought I was supposed to do what you did. And then Ted, you know, you can't be like me. You're not like me because I'm, you know, the $1 million man, ha 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 ha, ha, or whatever, right? You know, so that Ted can continue being a heel. But he's not going to physically get involved with Cameron Grimes. He's going to belittle him. You know, because that's really what the point here has been, is that Ted is belittling Cameron Grimes. But they put Cameron Grimes early in these positions to be a heel, because he's being a jerk to other people. So, you know, we'll see how it works. But Ted DiBiase is the living embodiment of greed. The character cannot be babyface. I just don't see how it works. I think that's a fundamental misunderstanding of the archetype and the psychological aspects of the $1 million man to ever try to make that character a babyface. It's a mistake. All right. It is a mistake. Just like they didn't recognize Jake the Snake Roberts in the 90s when he was, you know, Christian Jake. It was a huge mistake. You don't understand. When you don't understand characters, you think you can do stuff like that. In order for Ted DiBiase to be a babyface, he would have to completely change his character. He had to go from being Scrooge, and what the fuck movie was that? I'm pretty sure y'all know it off the top of y'all head. I got sponge brain sometimes. But the movie where Scrooge becomes a babyface at the end. It was the reason he became a babyface at the end. Because you couldn't go anywhere else with that character. You know, like the Grinch as well, with the Grinch who stole Christmas. Like, you know, once that character goes from his negative change arc to his positive change arc, or he goes from his positive change arc, once it's complete, there's nowhere else for him to go. You know, but wrestling is like comic books are one of those things that just go on and on and on. So you usually have to shed the character once the arc is over, you know, which is why I'm continuously pushing for Cameron Grimes to go broke. Because once that arc is over, all the entertainment value from Cameron Grimes being rich is going to be gone. You know, that's when people are going to say, oh, okay, well, he reached the mountaintop. He did all that he could do. Now what? You know, then you have to change the character to something else. Let me get off this subject. So Indy Hartwell is looking around searching for Dexter Lumis. She ruins Everrise's show. They're recording their show. The guy once again jumps up and says, you want to go? You want to take a shot? I don't know who that guy is, but he's fucking hilarious. Drake Maverick points Indy Hartwell to a dark room that she goes into, and there are pictures of bloody, broken hearts. and Dexter Lumis has drawn so many pictures of his broken heart, and Indy Hartwell is in this room, and she's like, no, and she's like touching the pictures, and she's not at all creeped out, by the way, not at all creeped out. This is like some Silence of the Lambs shit. Like, I think the last time they did something like this, it was Bray Wyatt in a room full of pictures with Roman Reigns' eyes cut out. Which I loved. I loved that. Like, that was creepy as shit. That was one of my favorite storylines, though. See, people didn't give Roman or Bray they didn't cut them any slack when they was doing that stuff, man. The anyone but you, Roman. That stuff was good. Now, you talking about somebody who, and they tried to tell the story of them being Batman and the Joker. That's what they tried to create with Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt. But Bray Wyatt was speaking a lot of gibberish, and people was kind of getting lost. And then a lot of people were kind of waffling on Roman, right? But that was the goal, to make Roman's chief arch nemesis Bray Wyatt. And it can work, and it could have worked. The problem was that they wrestled too many times, for starters. Secondly, the problem was that Roman kept winning. Like, Bray Wyatt never fucking won. You know, so you have to, at some point, put some kind of steam on the guy so we can want to see him, see Roman overcome. He can't win all the fucking time. Then at that point, he's like, that works for kids, when like small kids, for you to see the bad guys get beat every single time. But for people who are a little bit older, you're like, okay, I see Team Rocket get beat every week on Pokemon. I cease to see them as a threat. I see them now as basically small hurdles, that, or they're there for comic relief. They're like Skeletor. He show up, he gets beat up. Well, Skeletor didn't really get beat up, but he shows up, he gets beat up, and he leaves. And then he comes back next week to do it all over again. The Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. The Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd. You show up, get beat up, and then you come back next week rejuvenated. Tom and Jerry. Wait a minute, how did I get so deep into this? Because I was talking about Dexter Lumis. So the Dexter Lumis Indy Hartwell thing, I thought it was creepy, it was weird, and it was cool. Because it shows that Dexter Lumis actually does care, and he was legitimately hurt over what he heard. And since the character doesn't talk, which is very interesting, because all this time Dexter Lumis does not talk, you have to create ways for him to communicate without talking. And they've done a really good job of having Dexter Lumis be able to communicate without talking, through body language, through just showing up. I have no faith that Vince McMahon will do that. He would probably cut a promo the very first week on Raw. If he was on Raw, he would be talking. The idea of him not talking and being like a crazy stalker who draws pictures, that's unique, because serial killers and stuff like that almost always have these tics about them, where they're different from other people. Like, Loomis is basically a mute. So you have to read his body language and read into his actual actions. That gives him a lot more character, because he can't lie to you. When a character can't talk, he can't lie. So that tells you a lot about the characterization of Dexter Lumis, and that Indy Hartwell sees the truth within Dexter Lumis. She still should have been a little bit creeped out, but she likes the creepiness of it. She loves that, so it's all good. Frankie Monet made her in-ring debut against Cora Jade. Her robe was excellent. Her theme song still sucks. And I'm gonna give you guys a little something. You ever heard that Nas song, The Makings of a Perfect Bitch? If you was to take Tony Storm's lower half and Taya Valkyrie's chest, boy, that's quite a woman, isn't it? Because Taya has some gigantic titties. And they're just out there. So you can't be like, well, hey, you're sexualizing. Like, the fuck? Look at her. Look at this. She got beach balls in her chest. You know, and they've been there for quite a while. But now she's on WWE TV and everyone sees them. You know, when she was in Impact, they were just as big. When she was in AAA, they were just as big. But goddamn, for some reason, I'm seeing her on NXT. It's looking like they've got bigger than ever. What the hell? What the hell? Well, obviously she wins. She won with a version of the Glam Slam. Okay, cool. Walter discussed why Alexander Wolf got kicked out of Imperium. He says that failure is unacceptable and that Wolf's weakness is not going to be tolerated, and that he doesn't have what it takes to stand up for this great sport, and that their mission, Eichner and Bartel, is to win the tag team championships and restore honor to this sport. I love Imperium. They have a mission statement. You don't know how important it is, and even if they're not booked correctly, you know, they're not the strongest booked guys on the roster. But something as simple as having a mission statement can make them seem so much different than everyone else. They're like, you know, this is like, and in the way that they shot it, with Walter talking through the TV, it's like fucking Charlie's Angels or some shit. You know, it's like they were given, it was like Pulp Fiction, where they talking to the guy on the phone, and he just telling them, "Get the motherfucker." You know, like, you know, like it has some real life espionage to it. Like they're really sitting back here plotting on how to take over the company. I love that. They need to replace Wolf though, and I think that they could bring in somebody else. I think this is the perfect spot for like a Tyler Rust. You know, have him come in to be the new Hatchet Man. Bring in somebody else to do the Hatchet jobs, unless they're gonna send somebody from NXT UK. That would be fun, you know, but you have to actually book Imperium like two guys, or like guys who not only care about the sport, but care about winning, because winning is part of honoring the sport. And I would love it if they created their own rules. Like, I think that's what Ring of Honor has done, right? Even though Ring of Honor has like the pure rules, but the foundation, the group in Ring of Honor that have adopted that pure style, their mission is to change every title into the pure title, which means they have their own rules. Like Raven had his own rules in WCW, right? Imperium should just enforce their own rules. We're not going to wrestle unless we get these specific rules. And there are other companies that have like weird rules. Like I've been reading a book. I was reading a Stampede Wrestling book. And Bruce Hart, who was the booker of Stampede Wrestling, he created Stampede rules. And it's a mixture of European rules where it's like yellow cards and red cards, like from soccer, but it's in wrestling terms. Like you get a yellow card if you get caught cheating. 2 yellow cards is a disqualification, or you can get a red card, and a red card is an automatic disqualification and a fine and all that kind of stuff. I know WXW does it too, you know. And that would be sweet if they were to like transport WXW rules, but just call them Imperium rules or whatever. And there's yellow cards and red cards and a bunch of other stupid ass rules like no rope breaks, you know, or a certain number of rope breaks, or you can only be outside the ring for 5 seconds or 20 seconds or something like that, to give them an inherent advantage and to make what they do matter. I wonder if NXT probably will never do anything like that. But that's a good way to get them over as being, even if they're not going to be the champions, then you got something that they can do that only they can do. That's about being unique. That's the thing about characters. Characters should be unique. They should stand out, pop off the screen. Be unique. Stand out. Stand out. Where was I? Okay, I was talking about Imperium. Okay. Bryson Reed. So Bryson Reed says it took him 14 years to get here, and that he's been rising and falling ever since. And, you know, he's got doubters, but this is out for the kids to tell them that if you grind it out, you can be the champion too. Everybody's got to talk to the kids now. So then Santos Escobar comes out to save this segment. And Santos Escobar makes fun of him, says he's got a telenovela style. And then he brought tears to his eye. And he said, I can't relate to any of this rising and falling. this 14 years of grind, and I was born to be the champion. In fact, this business belongs to me. And then he says that when you won that title, I saw something. He says, I saw the North American title. He said, I see United States and I see Mexico. And then Joaquin Wilde was like, what about Canada? He's like, I told you, Canada doesn't count. But he says, since it represents Mexico, it belongs to me. I am the emperor of Lucha Libre. It belongs to me. And Reed was basically like, come get it then. And so then MSK ran down to the ring, and everybody, I guess Kushida came down there too, I think I saw Kushida. Anyway, the other good guys came down to the ring. Nobody helped Bobby Fish when he was getting his ass kicked, but Bryson Reed, who was a gigantic potato, don't need any help. And everybody comes out of the woodwork to help him. That's weird. Explain that. Make that make sense. In any event, Santos Escobar versus Bryson Reed. Good idea. Good idea, but bad timing because Bryson Reed is a fresh champion. So what are you going to do? You're going to have Santos Escobar lose to Kushida. And now you're going to put him in a feud with Bryson Reed where he's not going to win the title? That sucks. That sucks. I'm sorry, that sucks. Santos Escobar and Swerve should be later run opponents. If you're going to give Bryson Reed maybe a 4 or 5 month run as champion, he probably should be wrestling other guys first. Okay? And getting wins over people who it doesn't really matter if they lose or not. You know, he should be wrestling Pete Dunn, you know, where Dunn can give him good matches and he can beat Pete Dunn, but Pete won't be too badly damaged. Santos Escobar is a main event heel. It's different. You know, Swerve is trying to get to that level, but you can't beat Swerve because he's trying to get to that level. And you can't keep beating Santos Escobar or he goes down. So either they're going to put the belt on Escobar, which means you fucked over Reed, and he was just a transitional champion to get the belt off Johnny Gargano, which is fine with me. But I would prefer if they're not going to put the belt on Escobar, which it doesn't seem like they're going to, he wouldn't be in this position. But I'm thinking maybe, because they've been talking about doing call-ups, I'm thinking like Gallo del Fantasma will not be in NXT much longer. This is the 3rd week in a row I've said this. But I'm still holding on to it. I don't think Legado del Fantasma is going to be around much longer. I think they just need Bronson Reed to wrestle somebody at NXT in your house. And Escobar is there. And they still have the match for the tag team belts with MSK. And that's next week. And I think that when is the pay-per-view? I should look at when the pay-per-view is. I think it's in the middle of the month, maybe the 12th, 13th or something like that, 15th, 16th or something like that. So you got some time. But I read that they're already trying to do a lot of NXT call-ups. Santos Escobar needs to be on that list. This guy's fucking good. Okay, whenever they're going to start doing crowds, that's when he should come in. He should come in when they're doing crowds, not before. Enough of this Thunderdome shit. Just save some of this stuff for when there's crowds so people can react to this stuff. All right, so the main event rocked. Kross, Balor 2. Simple story. Kross was no-selling some big moves from Balor. Balor was fighting hard as he could, but he couldn't keep the big guy down. Couldn't fight through him. It was a battle of attrition where they each threw their best stuff at him. But, you know, when Balor would do his flippity-do over the top rope, Kross got right back up and then slammed him on the table. You know, it was cool. You know, it was a really physical match. All of Finn Balor's matches have been pretty physical lately. Kross has got it. Kross is a perfect badass archetype. You know, I might do a video on that one of these days. But he fits that badass archetype, you know, to the Lashleys and the Brocks and the Sids, like those guys, where he's just a bull of the fucking woods. You know, he's a top fucking ape. You know, like he's that guy. He's the alpha male. You need to have at least one. You can only have one. And he's that, you know. So this was the perfect decision, you know, to keep the belt on Kross. So now Great match, fantastic match. Now they announced the triple threat match next week to discuss who is going to be the number one contender, and the opponents are Kyle O'Reilly, Johnny Gargano, and Pete Dunne. And I instantly was like, all three of those guys are retreads. All three of them are retreads. Second reason I said is because they've already teased Gargano and Kross. So it's going to be Gargano and Kross. Fuck you. Look, I don't care about good matches. Fuck Johnny Gargano. Okay? Get the fuck out of here. All right? I can't stand it. They need to get the fuck out of here with that. They've already teased it, so I know it's coming. So it's a question of Pete Dunne's in the match to take the pinfall, or is it Kyle O'Reilly going to take the pinfall? Is it going to be Bobby Fish costing Kyle O'Reilly the match? Possible. But I guess they got to have the match. They got to have a number one contender of some kind. But God, you could have looked at other people on the roster, man. These three guys, especially Gargano, enough's enough. Like O'Reilly, ever since he's been in the title picture, he's been in the title picture for a little while now. I don't have a problem with him, but it's clear you're never really going to give him the belt. So you can swap him out and put somebody else in there. You know, it's you have to explain. Well, they perfectly explain why Escobar is not in this situation, you know, because he sees Mexico on a belt. He's like, no. You can't be the champion of Mexico. I'm the champion of Mexico. That's fine. It fits his character. But what about everybody else? Everybody else is just cool with Johnny Gargano, who just lost, getting a title match or a potential for a title match. That's whack. That's lame. It's trash. You know, what about Pete Dunne? He ain't done anything. He beat Bobby Fish. That was the only person he beat. But I'm cool. Look, it's going to be Gargano. It is what it is. But it ought to be another good match for Kross. He's going to have to beat another NXT stalwart. They got to pad his record because they haven't built up another really good challenger for him yet. So Johnny Gargano being a super annoying heel that gets on his nerves, but at the same time, Gargano and Kross is two heels. Kross worked as a heel in this match, even though he was kind of getting cheers because he was no-selling Finn shit. He was still basically a heel, you know. So we got to figure out how we're going to work this, or we just going to do that. You're going to turn him babyface just for this feud. It's like, no, you have options. You got options, but you also need somebody that is similar to Bryson Reed. You need to have people in position that can get beat. And all these guys are guys who are beatable for Kross and that won't kill them or hurt them. Like, again, you can't put Swerve in this position. Kross is too entrenched in being the champion right now, and people are not ready for him to lose it yet. So you can't put Swerve there because you don't want to beat him. Can't put Escobar there because even if you could, since he's going to lose anyway to Bryson Reed, he should really lose to the top guy, but he's already wrestled Kross and lost. So I don't know. But it's probably going to be Johnny Gargano because they've already teased it. So if your thing is no more Garganos like mine, we're stuck with them. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to this channel. Thank you guys for your time. Donate, please, if you can. Feed my shawarma addiction, and I do need some water around here. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later, and have a nice day.